I want to dive into that, but I have been excited to tell you that this last weekend I went to Thunderhill, which is a
Okay.
track in Northern California,
Yep.
and there was a guy drifting. And I know that
Oh,
you drift. He was in an S14, and I
okay.
went over and was watching him a little bit and waved as I left, and he flips around and comes over and is like, "Hey, do you want to ride?" I was like, "Heck yeah." So he took me around. I had my helmet there already. I was getting some other footage of a car, the Apex Cricket,
Okay.
which you might have seen. But anyway, it was super fun. I'd never been in a drift car before.
Yeah, getting a ride along is almost as much fun as driving the car.
Seriously, it was really cool. A feeling I'd never experienced, being both out of control but in control at the
In
same
control.
time.
Yep. Yep. That's a perfect way to explain it. And that's really what got me into drifting about 10 years ago. It's the most fun I've ever had in a car.
What were you drifting?
I actually started in a 300ZX, a
Okay.
Z32. So it was a 1990 model, NA engine. Had it on coilovers, welded the diff. I didn't even have a working handbrake at the time. Um, and just went to our local circle track. They hosted drift events about once a month. From there, I ended up in a S13, and then I started going to another track here in Wisconsin called US Air. It is probably the best drift track in the Midwest. It's hard to argue otherwise. They host a big event every year called Final Bout. It's grass. All of this is just grassroots drifting. It's for fun. Hang out with your friends, tandem with your friends. Get a little competitive here and there. There's just small competitions, but it's not pro am. You're not trying to work up to the pro level. It's just out to have fun.
That's some of the best elements of car culture, I think.
Yeah.
So, if you weren't doing anything with cars, what would you be doing?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, cars have been a part of my life since I was 16 years old. No one in my family's really into cars. I kind of got into it on my own. If I wasn't working on cars, I'd probably be driving up and down the coast in a Volkswagen van. Man, that's probably what I'd be doing, hanging out with the dog,
That sounds pretty lovely. A little
living an easy
fishing.
life.
I can relate to that. None of my family, I didn't grow up wrenching on cars or anything like that, but I got into them when I was probably a little bit older. 18 was when I got my first car that was like mine. I was driving cars before that, but it was like my car. And then
Yep.
that somehow changed things. And then all of a sudden, I remember reading, like looking through the penny savers and the used car magazines you could get and just like
Okay.
memorizing the makes and models and engines as much as I could that way before smartphones.
Yep.
The S13, do you have an S13 right now?
I just sold my last one. Um, dog broke her leg last
Oh,
fall. Sold the car to cover that. Didn't want her to lose her leg.
yeah.
So working back into it, but yeah. So I just sold my last S13. I had an SR swap, had Tomei Pond cams, sounded awesome, drove really nice. But hopefully sometime this summer, this fall, I can get back into one.
Well,
Taking a little break for the summer.
that's fair. And it sounds like you have your priorities straight, helping your
Yeah,
dog. I hope that the full
he's doing
recovery.
good.
Good.
Good. Recovery went well.
So, if you did have an S13 and you were going to EV convert it, I'm
Yeah.
guessing maybe you've thought this through a little bit. Build it on paper for me. Are the parts available? Do you know what you'd put in or
Yeah. Have you ever heard of like the acronym KISS? Keep it simple, stupid.
yes. Yes, I try to remind that myself that every day.
Big believer in it. Test a large drive unit in the rear. I like street driving all of my drift cars as well.
Okay.
So I would like at least 150-mile range, and especially charging infrastructure at the track. There really isn't anything yet. So probably want at least 55, 60 kilowatt hours worth of batteries. But yeah, large drive unit in the rear. If I could fit 85 kilowatt hours worth of batteries in the car, I would. I didn't map it out that far.
Sure.
It's as simple as that. That's all you really need. I'd probably try to weld the differential in the large drive unit or just cost. It's so cheap. But if I had a little bit more money saved up, I'd probably try to get a limited slip in there. Handbrake. I mean, run an EV controls,
You're
a
good.
T2C. Just keep it simple.
Yeah, I like that. Elegant and simple. So I'm seeing over your right shoulder right now is that red Jeep, and
Yep,
that is that's a totally different platform than an
it is.
S13, but you have done an EV conversion on that. So what was the original like condition of that car when it first came to you guys at Midwest EV?
Okay, yeah. So the Jeep we ended up getting for free.
Oh, that's a great deal.
Yeah, yeah. It had a four-cylinder in it with some sort of a rod knock spun bearing. I got it to start. Did not sound healthy at all. Paint was very faded. To be honest, we painted the hardtop, did a little paint correction on the paint, swapped a Hyper 9 in it, and that's about it. I never even touched any suspension components yet.
This was your first EV build though,
Yes, it was
right?
basically a proof of concept. Just something we have. We bought the parts, throw it together. Something I have here at the shop, market, advertise, that sort of thing.
What was going through your mind when you were first like cracking into this?
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's honest, at least. Did you
I
have
mean,
an idea?
conceptually, it's an EV conversion isn't that complicated. You have a motor, you have a controller or an inverter controller, something to tell the motor what to do. You
Sure.
have an onboard charger, and you have a DC to DC converter. Other than that, I mean, that's all you really need to get. Oh, and batteries and battery management system. It's all you need to get the car going up and down the road.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is like the spectrum of your knowledge base. Were you aware of those like specific components? You had an idea, maybe we'll do a Hyper 9 on this, or were you like, we have this Jeep, what motors are available, what are the formulas that people are using that are working? Because I think that there's probably a handful, like, 3 to 5 formulas that we see most
Yeah.
often in the conversion world.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, Hyper 9 definitely is probably the most popular one. It's got to be the most popular one,
Yeah,
at
it's
least in
accessible.
today's standards. Yeah. But when I moved back into Wisconsin to basically start up Midwest TV or get it going, the owners of our sister company, Motion Products, were already in talks with Legacy EV out in Arizona
Yeah.
about our 32 Ford project. So that was getting going before I knew what was going on yet and before I moved back. So the revolt motor for that was already purchased and kind of a kit specced out for it. So when I moved back to Wisconsin, I started talking with the people at Legacy EV. Hyper 9, basically the simplest, easiest option at the time to do a conversion. So we just went with that. Component wise, I knew what all the components were and what they did. I've never wired any of them up before. I didn't know that aspect of it, but I was aware of what components were needed.
Nice. Look, without like changing the budget or the parts, but more about the build itself. Looking back, is there anything you do different, any gotchas that now seem like totally apparent, but at the time not so much?
That's a good question. To be honest, for what it is, I don't think I would change anything component wise. A Tesla drive unit would be a lot more complicated, especially if you're trying to keep it all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. A drive unit in the rear and the front would be very complicated. I could see going with the Nissan Leaf motor, but then you have to figure out the 400 volt battery architecture when the 100-volt nominal Hyper 9 system is so easy to do and just throw 5 Tesla modules in the car.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is some simplicity to be gained there. What about the fact that it's an off-road, Jeep? Did that
Yeah.
make it easier because there was more space, or harder because there's
Hmm.
some beefier components that you had to work with?
I don't think it complicated things too much. Our battery packs are sealed, at least the one in the front. The one in the rear, I didn't seal, but it's inside of the Jeep. I don't think the Hyper 9 I don't think it has an IP rating to be submersible. So that was never a thought in my mind to do like large water crossings or something along those lines with the Jeep. And vacuum related, we don't have heat or AC in the Jeep. I have a vacuum pump to run the brake booster, and I converted the front axle lock to cable actuated instead of vacuum. So just kept it really simple.
Oh, cool. Maybe walk me through where you mounted the motor. Is that under the
Yeah.
hood still and going
Yeah.
into the
So
stock
the Hyper
drivetrain?
9 is mated to the AX5 manual transmission yet.
Okay.
We retain the clutch. We purchased an adapter plate from Canadian EV, and it's actually for an Iron Duke Chevy S10, but
Huh.
the bell housing bolt pattern is the same. So we used that.
That's lucky.
Yeah, we had to machine our own coupler to hold the flywheel and clutch assembly, but our sister company has their own machine shop and very easy to utilize resources around town here.
You'd said it's 100-volt nominal. Are you
Yeah.
using the five Tesla modules in the Jeep, or did you go with something different?
Yeah, there's five Tesla modules under the hood and then five in the rear. And the two packs are wired in parallel.
Oh, gotcha. What sort of
So that
range are you
was
guys getting?
not a lot, to be honest. It's a pretty big brick driving down the road. Last, I
Big
haven't
red
range
brick.
tested it for almost 2 years now. When I first range tested it, it was around 120 miles. I didn't go, it was not a lot of highway driving. There was a lot of 45, 55 mile an hour country roads and then some city driving. So, not the greatest, but you have to work with what you have. So,
It's a Jeep too.
yeah,
Whenever I talk to folks who have converted like an off-road car of some sort, a
yep.
Jeep or Land Cruiser, things like that, those those miles go a long ways when you're off-road.
I was just going to say that when we had it out in the woods, it we left the woods with the same voltage we started with, but it took up three-quarters of the pack driving there.
Well, that's kind of ideal. And then, for the rock crawlers out there, you get the torque in the low end and
Yep.
can kind of navigate those potholes
The
expertly.
first gear is almost useless without or driving on the road. There's so much gear reduction.
Just spin the tires, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just start off in second or third gear and then go up from there if you want, or just stick it in third and drive it like an automatic.
Do you have to use the clutch when you're shifting gears in the EV?
It's not exactly the same as driving an internal combustion engine car or vehicle with a manual transmission. That motor revs so fast. Or what I do with the Jeep is I push in the clutch, I'll change the gear, I'll let slowly off on the clutch all the way until it's engaged, and then I'll get back on the throttle. There's no trying to rev match
No
or
rev
anything
matching.
along those lines. Yeah.
Hmm.
I could probably get it pretty close if I turn regen on with like neutral braking. So if regen would kick on without the brake pedal being applied, I could maybe match it up a little bit better. I just need to spend the time to do that.
Got to tune that in. Are you
Yeah.
using the Hyper 9 controller that comes with it, or are you using something
Yep.
different?
Yep. With the Smart View software.
Cool. What about for the battery management?
Dilithium
Okay.
BMS. Uh, I've used them in every single conversion so far except for the Corvette. I'm used to it. Last car, that green Porsche in the background, wired in dilithium battery management system on that, and I didn't even look at a wiring schematic or diagram for it. It's like the back of my hand at this point.
There's something to be said for that for sure.
Yeah.
So you're in a pretty good position here that the first conversion that you tried, you knocked out of the park. And how long did that take you overall?
I think it was about 6 months,
That's really
on and
not
off. I mean,
long.
I didn't work on it every day. I was working on the Ford in the background, getting things going on that. And then when I wasn't working on that, I was making progress on the Jeep.
And how long before from this Jeep to your next build? Did they go back to back, or was there a little break in between?
It was back to back. Next one was going with the Auto Bianchi.
The Auto Bianchi
Yeah, fun
to
little car.